There is a popular saying in leadership that if you think you're leading and there's nobody following you, you are only going on a walk. On this platform, you are going to learn principles of leadership. You are going to encounter different leaders. You are going to learn about how you can grow as a leader, how you can make an impact. My name is Samuel Eyim, and I'm the host for the leadership platform. I am a leadership coach, a lawyer by profession, a John C. Maxwell certified coach. I have been in corporate life in senior positions for several years, and now I run the Center for Transformational Leadership, where we train and coach leaders to become better leaders. And I invite you to go on a journey with us as we discuss the subject of leadership in the coming weeks.
This and every Saturday, you have opportunity to ask questions, share your views on important leadership matters.
We spend a lot of time developing our professions, but we don't spend time developing ourselves. Look, as a leader, as a professional, you have to grow. You have to grow yourself. And to be able to grow yourself, you need to know yourself. A lot of us are not achieving the maximum we can achieve because we have not invested in our personal growth. So we are bringing you this special studies based on John C. Maxwell's book, The 15 Invaluable Laws of Growth. And we're going to just spend time with you and help you go through the principles that you need to be able to grow your person, to become a better person. Because if you become a better person, you become a better leader, you become a better father, become a better professional. Do not miss this opportunity, as the masterclass is going to be very practical and discussional. It is going to be a limited number of people. So please register now to be part of the program.
Hello everyone, my name is Elsie and I'm excited that I just completed a 15-week journey with the CTL Africa team on the 15 Laws of Invaluable Growth by John C. Maxwell.
From the law of pain, I also learned that every problem introduces a person to himself. Honestly, till you face a problem, you wouldn't know the things that you actually have within you.
The journey for me personally was a wake-up call. Before I joined this journey, I wasn't actually learning at all. I wasn't adding any logic to what I knew.
So the law of trade-off is saying that you have to give up to grow up. So things that I think are not going to have maximum impact on my life, I have to trade them off.
I want to grow. I am not stopping now. I am continuing. And as far as I'm concerned, like it says, you cannot give what you don't have. I definitely will have to give what I have learned off to others and then get more so that I can continue giving. I am not going to be a reservoir. I am going to be a river, and therefore I'm going to continue learning to be able to give of my best.
Ordinary people can achieve extraordinary results on a consistent basis if they have a system, if they have.
Navigating through life without a coach or a guide can be very deceiving, making you come to think that you have achieved the highest or the best you can ever, or you have made the best of decisions. But until you become very intentional and take a good stock of your life, you would not realize that it's a mistake.
Pain helps you to come out of your comfort zone.
The law of intentionality and the fact that learning is a lifelong journey if you want to be significant. Emphasis on significance.
Previously, I used to be very unintentional about the things I do when it comes to my family, my work, my Christian life, and basically everything that I do.
In the pursuit of that growth, there are gaps. There are gaps that we need to conquer. These gaps include the knowledge, perfection, mistake, inspirational, timing, and assumption gap.
And I will encourage you to be part of CTL Africa's 15-week growth journey.
I encourage you all out there who need to live their life to be part of CTL Africa's growth journey.
Please take advantage of this program and your life will never be the same.
Thank you very much, CTL Africa, and continue to impact the world. God bless.
Hello. Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Leadership Platform. My name is Samuel Eyim, and I'm excited to be with you this evening. I know that this evening is going to be a challenge because there is France and England playing football at the same time that we are learning leadership. But I hope that leaders will come around, watch the match, and still learn. So please, if you're connected, let us know that you are here so we can announce you among those who prioritize learning leadership over World Cup. We know World Cup is important. We can watch the match later on because we have a very important subject to discuss this evening. So please subscribe to our YouTube channel and like our Facebook pages. Join us live on Facebook and YouTube and LinkedIn. Join us because we're going to discuss an important subject this evening. And not only that, we have a very well qualified teacher who is going to also help us. So please connect with us and let's know where you are joining from. All right, I can see only Douglas Amwati who has introduced himself for now. We know that so many people connect who do not announce themselves, but we are happy to know that you are here. So please go ahead and announce yourself. All right, so we are this evening going to talk about the laws of teamwork. And as we announced, no one can whistle a symphony. It takes a whole orchestra. So one person cannot. Alone, we can do little. Together, we can do so much. The speed of the boss is the speed of the team. And as John Maxwell would say, a big dream with a weak team is the definition of a nightmare. So how do teams work? And what are the principles that guide effective teams? Even as we watch the World Cup, how is it that some teams are being successful and others are not so successful? How is it that we are seeing the surprises? What is the difference between the winning teams and the losing teams? Those are some of the things we're going to learn so that you can begin to understand how to make your team more effective and put your team on the winning side. So this evening, we have once again our good friend, Dr. Jeff Bassey, who is going to lead us in the discussion. Dr. Bassey is going to talk to us for 30 to 40 minutes, and then we'll open the floor for discussions. As I say all the time, Come with your questions, come with your issues, come with your cases, your problems in work with your teams, and let's discuss them together. We learn much, much more during the discussion sessions. So we're going to be here between 1 hour and 1.5 hours, depending upon how things go. So let's tighten our belt as we invite Dr. Jeff Bassey. Bassey, who is a management consultant and corporate trainer with key expertise in leadership and strategy. He was just telling me that though he has background in finance, he's just focusing on leadership and strategy these days. Now, Jeff has consulted and trained for 134 organizations in and outside Ghana, including the Bank of Ghana, MTN, ABSA, Newmont Ghana, VRA, Olam, Tulu Oil, and Kimpiski Hotel. Jeff is a lead facilitator for Bank of Ghana leadership training. Jeff is an adjunct lecturer at the University of Ghana Business School. He holds BSc in Admin, LLB, MBA, and a doctorate in strategy. So you know that he understands strategy. He's a chartered accountant and a certified senior professional in human resources. Dr. Bassey is the country director of the Professional Human Resources Certification in Ghana. Now, on that note, I want to invite my good friend, Jeff, to take the floor and share with us the 5 laws of team leadership. Jeff, it's always my honor and privilege to have you on the leadership platform. And by the way, I can see a few more people have joined. Livingstone is here. Now Latile has also introduced herself. Iram Agozi is also here. So I know so many people are joined, but not everybody introduced themselves. So those who have introduced themselves are here. But Jeff, the floor is yours. Thank you so much for doing this for us.
Well, thank you so much for this great opportunity to share my thoughts on the subject of laws that govern team leadership. I particularly am grateful to Mr. Samuel Ayim for his dedication to matters of leadership. Indeed, like we said, everything rises and falls on leadership. I normally say that in an organization, everything is influenced by leadership, and that it is only what happens at the level of leadership that trickles down and affects everything else within the organization. So thank you to you, Mr. Yim, for your dedication. I was in a conversation with one of his team members, wondering how you will leave the rather lucrative area like the bank with a very what do I call it? A very flamboyant, profession as law in a banking sector to just dedicate his life to pushing leadership development in our country and beyond. Thank you so much for that dedication. And good evening, good morning, good afternoon, depending on which country you find yourself. And thank you for joining us, even as I share my thoughts on this rather very important area. As I wait for my colleague Kofi to share my slides, I normally would say that a leader only succeeds when the people he leads agree he does. A leader only succeeds when the people he leads agree that he does succeed. Once the team is not in agreement that the leader must succeed. So all cabinet ministers go to a meeting with a singular agendum, and the agendum is the president must fail. I tell you, he's failed already. Why? Because they are the forefront of implementing the president's vision. And I normally say that no organization outgrows the collective knowledge and experiences of the people who run the organization. No organization outgrows the collective knowledge and experiences. So the organization's level of success is always commensurate with the collective knowledge and experiences of the people who run the organization. So let's say Nyaho Medical Center is a great organization or great hospital. Is it because of the buildings, the edifice, the machines they have there? It would have been the collective knowledge and experiences of the medical team, and for that matter, the administrative staff that supports them in raising a great organization. If you say Ashese University is a great university, would it be the buildings? No. It would be the faculty, the teaching and non-teaching staff that run the organization. So we cannot play down on the importance of the team behind leadership. It may take one person to raise an organization or to birth a vision, but it takes way more than that one person for the vision to see the light of day. Now, I say that if your vision can be, fulfilled, you can execute your vision all alone, you have a very small, big vision, because the vision is so small, it's so big that it can fill your stomach. It's so small that it doesn't make any real impact. Nobody else, can benefit from that vision. That singular understanding helps leaders to appreciate the power of the team behind leadership or behind a vision. Now, I want to start my presentation by averting your minds to a quote from or by Henry Ford. Henry Ford is the founder of Ford Motors. He said, you can take my factories, burn up my buildings, confiscate our physical assets, our money, our products, but leave the people and we will build everything right back again. Take my factories, burn up my buildings and physical assets, leave the people and we will build everything right back again. Next slide, Kofi. Right, this is normally the introductory question I ask in any team leadership class. How much do you know your team members? How much do you know the different personalities? Now, from time immemorial, it has always been a Herculean task working with people or leading people. I mean, those of us who believe in the Bible, and this is not to hurt the sensitivity of non-Christians listening to this presentation, but for those of us who are Christians, we know how much even Moses had a lot of problems with Aaron. Jesus Christ had a lot of issues with Judas Iscariot. At a point in time, we are told that Nelson Mandela was the most respected human being on earth. I didn't say the most respected African. At the point, he was the most respected person on earth. Yet he couldn't live with his wife, Winifred. What is it that makes it living and working with people that difficult? How much do you know your team members? Do you know why they behave the way they do? Now, I've heard in my work life as a consultant to quite a number of companies where managers complain, I don't know the kind of employees I have as my team members. And when you turn to the team, they also wonder, what kind of a manager do we have here? What is it that makes people behave in a way that doesn't resonate with your upbringing and how you do things? And what can we do? Perhaps that is the most important question. What can we do to improve the behavior of our team members so we can enhance productivity in the workplace? These are three key questions I normally would ask to initiate a discussion on team leadership. Next slide. Now, in spite of all of these challenges, I have come to a firm agreement that, or a firm realization that to successfully work with people or with others requires seeing things from their perspective, listening and making attempt to understand them before seeking to be understood. The number one reason why two people quarrel, two people have conflict, two people disagree, two people fight, is that we appreciate the same thing from two different perspectives. I quite remember I had to conduct a training for managers of Volta River Authority in Akosombo, VRA. Now, at lunchtime, I went with a PA. We decided to drive around to look for our food to eat because we were not interested in the food that was being served by the company. And when we got to the restaurant, we got served. And after eating, we had to look for the waitress that served us. And she was nowhere to be found. And so we resorted to describing her to another waitress to fetch her for us. And one of my descriptions was, oh, a slim, tall lady with no earring on. My colleague said, no, she's wearing an earring. We battled it out for about 4 or 5 minutes, only for the lady to come, and she had one ring on, one off. We were both right. We appreciated the same person from two different perspectives. Every human being have two ears. The part of hair or side of hair that I saw had no earring. The side of hair my colleague saw had ring. So we were both describing the same person at the same time, but because we appreciated her from two different perspectives, we gave two different interpretations. All right. I'm sure if you asked the giraffe and the tortoise to tell you the color of the elephants, they both are going to tell you two different colors. Why? The giraffe appreciates or views the elephant from above and report on what it sees the color of the elephant to be. The tortoise sees the elephant from beneath. So the belly of the elephant, that gray color is what it sees, and would only say the color of the elephant is gray. Now, these two gentlemen, the tortoise and the giraffe, are then going to get into some hot argument only to discuss the color of the elephant. You are right, you are wrong, I am wrong, you are right, you am right. They are going to continue doing that until such time when the giraffe will be smart enough to say, listen, and the giraffe here is representing the leader, all right, will be have to say, listen, could it be that the tortoise is seeing or appreciating this elephant from a perspective that I cannot see? So maybe just trying to bend over a bit to see, you would have seen that there's something different. Now, this is a statement I usually make to organizations. We don't manage people. People are too complex to be managed. We only manage agreements with people. I'll say that again. We do not manage people. We only manage agreements with people. Now, I'm going to create two scenarios. A team leader wants to change something major in the organization, or let's even say something as minor as changing the uniform of the staff, of the workers. You have one of two options to take. The first one will probably be sit in your office, write a memo, and dispatch it to all team members and put below it by order or by management. From next week, Monday, nobody is going to wear the blue we had always worn. Instead, wear gold. Now, that is one option. The second option will be to call the team members and try to engage them on why the color blue does not resonate with the values of the organization, doesn't communicate our corporate culture. So what color do you think we should wear? Now, and listen to them. They're going to mention various colors. Just keep listening to them until that point where you probably are going to have somebody mention gold. Even if no one mentions gold, chances are that by the time you mention gold, they will leave the meeting saying, we went to decide to wear gold, not the boss says we should wear gold. Now let's look at implementation or enforcement of these two options. In the first case where you wrote a memo, you got to be there to police this new directive, to be sure that everybody abides by it. In the second one, because they were involved somewhat, there was some consultations. There's something we call in leadership involvement breeds commitment. Because he was part of the decision-making process, they share responsibility in enforcing the new rule, which is everybody must wear gold. They don't need you to be there to police it. Now, let me say this as a key statement. Any change, a change in post is a change opposed. I'll say that again. A change in post is a change opposed. The only way to get people's buy-in is when they get involved in the process. Yes, they might not get involved in the process and get things as the leader would have wanted, but it is the leader's responsibility to communicate, to influence, to cause the team members to see things through your eyes. Perhaps one of the most important tools of a leader is your ability to engage and communicate, influence, and get people to see things through your eyes. So I dare say we don't manage people. We only manage agreements with people. If I agree with you that work starts from next week at 7:30 instead of the regular 8 a.m., it is not a question of me saying come in at 7:30. It's me sitting you down and explaining to you why 8 a.m. doesn't help us to achieve our goals. What time do you think? The two of us will jojo, and as a leader, I have the responsibility to cajole you into establishing an agreement why 7:30 is better. On Monday, chances are that you're going to come late, but I have the responsibility of not attacking you, but of reminding you of the agreement you established with me. In your quest to respect your own agreement, then you start coming on the right time, which is achieved. We don't manage people. We only manage agreements with people. Next slide. So I'm just building up to the five laws in a bit. Now, I have observed how team members are largely in three different categories. The first one are what I choose to call the complainers. Who are these people in the team? The complainers are the guys who bastardize every decision that comes. They undermine the leader. They challenge the authority of the leader. All they need is to have one advantage over the leader. He's either been here before you came, or he has a master's degree and you do not have one. All right. They disagree with every decision. They are like the brakes of the vehicle. And there are positive parts of the brake. Every good driver knows that you need your brakes to negotiate that curve, to go through that pothole and whatnot. They are 30% of everything. Then we have a very large, dangerous group called the collaborators. They are about 50% of everything. I call them, they are dangerous because they appear very nice, and many leaders tend to like them because they vote for your decisions. They agree with the leader. They don't challenge your authority. But you know, the reason they are dangerous is that they only play along. They are like wheelbarrows. As you keep pushing, it keeps going. Once you stop pushing, it also stops going, because these are guys who lack initiative. You must be there to police them. You must be there to always check them. They are critical examples of the people who epitomize the statement that people do what you inspect and not what you expect. They want you to always be checking before they are doing. And the reason they are dangerous is that leaders get so comfortable around them because they castigate nothing. They don't question anything. They don't challenge you. You can tell him, I want us to use method A to solve this problem. He will tell you, oh, boss, method A is good. Go and come in 5 minutes and tell him, on a second thought, we should rather use method B. You say, oh, yeah, yes, boss, I agree with you. Let's use method B. You can come the following morning and say, on a very careful thought and analysis, method C should be the best. He will tell you, you are the boss. Anything you say, we do. They agree with everything. And so leaders get comfortable. But until you have a critical team leader who disagrees with you, who challenges your thought, who gets you to go back to the drawing board some of the time, the leader hardly grows himself. Then we have the 20% of the guys we call the high flyers, the guys who do 80% of the work, the guy who spare the organization on. They may challenge the leader, but they always have a better team, a better idea on the table. And I asked team leaders, do you know where each of your team members belong to? Over time, some of them move from one region to another, but it's important you know them very well. Now, if you were to be probably delegating, for instance, when you delegate to a high flyer, you might as well go to bed because the work is safe. When you delegate to a collaborator, you have to check on hourly basis or at the close of every business day in case you are out of town. They only perform when they know the leader is checking. Of course, when you delegate to a complainer, you probably would have to fix an alternative before you travel. So how do you know your team members and how do you get them properly aligned? And that will be ushering me into the next slide, which is talking about the 5 key laws of team building. And I'm operating within the space of my time. I have just about I think I took off 7:05. So I have just 20 minutes or so to bring this presentation to a close. The very first one is what we call the law of purpose and vision. Now, these are laws that govern team leadership. And I normally say that if you're a leader and you follow these laws, you get people following you naturally. The first one is the law of purpose and vision. Why are we here? Why are we here? I have seen too many companies who prepare vision statements, frame them up, and hang up at the reception of the company. And when you go past the reception into the training room to engage officers in a training, you ask them what their vision statement says, and they are looking for a document to read the vision statement to you. Now, what is a vision? I normally say vision is capturing the future, registering it on your mind, and using it to drive the present day's actions. Vision is to capture the future, register that future on your mind, and use it to drive the present day's action. Now, is it just enough to have the vision? No, but I call it inspired shared vision. Inspired shared vision. The vision got to command the attention of everybody to get to know exactly where we are going as an organization. Indeed, vision have some qualities. Number one is the fact that the vision must always contradict the present. If your vision looks like today or your present, then it's not a vision at all. Number two, the vision must question your laziness. It must confront your comfort zone, and it must challenge your indecision. The vision must command resources and focus your attention. And when the leader is clear about this vision, you have to now create a strategic linkage between everybody's work and the overall vision. The only time people find meaning to their work is when they come to the realization of how their work directly affect or contribute to the vision of the organization. So under the leadership of President Nixon of the US, where America first made an attempt to send astronauts to the moon, Mr. President visited a secretariat that was preparing the astronauts to go to the moon. He met a cleaner who was mopping the floor. "Good morning, sir. What do you do here?" I thought the answer should be, "I clean." But listen to the answer of the cleaner. He said, "Mr. President, I'm helping to put a man to the moon." That is a cleaner who understands the strategic linkage between his work and why we are here. I'm not just mopping the floor so the floor looks clean. I'm mopping the floor so we have a clean environment, so certain engineers can sit and run meetings and strategize on how to go to the moon. So clearly, he finds a meaning to his work. And he's not just doing it because at the end of a 30-day month, he'll be receiving a paycheck, or the fact that body and soul got to be together. So I normally call it synchronized thinking. You must get a connection between everybody's work. Now, I normally liken the team, as far as purpose and vision is concerned, to 4 tires of a vehicle. Just as every company, we have different departments and different individuals that build the organization or that make the departments. Now, when you have 4 tires under your vehicle and 1 tire is punctured, flat tire, 1, you have 3 more tires. Why don't you continue the journey? You stop to work on that 1 tire before you continue the journey. But you have other ones. So just before coming online, I was sharing a story with a friend on how the professor and the fisher boy were sailing. And the professor would ask the fisher boy, "Boy, do you know psychology?" The boy said, "No." "Do you know sociology?" "No." "Biology?" "No." "Zoology?" "No." "What do you know?" Well, they were sailing until the wind started blowing. And the prof will, the fisher boy will ask, Prof, do you know swimmingology? Prof said no. It's okay. That means today crocodiology is going to eat your headology and you're going to die with your knowledgeology. The point I'm trying to make is that everyone's role in the organization is important. And that if the role isn't important, then you might as well scrap the role. I am a strategist. Why do you keep a role that is redundant and not relevant to the running of the organization? But if you have a reason to keep the role must be important and deserve equal respect and attention as everybody else. Because if that role was plucked off, the vision doesn't see the light of day. Create a strategic linkage. Let people have purpose to their work, meaning to their work. The second law that govern team leadership is the law of integrity and trust. The law of integrity and trust. No one follows you until he trusts you. And no one will trust you until he believes you have integrity. I'll say that again. No one follows you until he trusts you. No one trusts you until he believes you have integrity. Now, the moment leaders begin to suffer integrity problems, followers suffer commitment problems. When the leader have integrity questions, followers will have commitment questions. There's always a direct correlation between the level of integrity of leadership and the level of followership of the members. And don't deceive yourself that because people say yes, sir, to you, they are following you. No, they might just be mere workers who have to take instructions, who want to avoid punishment or attract reward, who knows that you have the power to crack the whip. Forgive me. When you look at John Maxwell's 5 levels of leadership, the lowest of them, he calls it the positional leadership. That is where people have regard for your position on authority. And when I'm talking about the 5 myths of leadership, one of them is position. I occupy the position, so I am a leader. Wrong. Position only gives you access to leadership. Position gives you the right to exercise authority, to apply resources, to take decisions, and direct the actions and inactions of other people. Now, the second level of leadership, according to John Maxwell, is relational leadership. If the position was stripped off you, would people still have reverence for you? If no, then all this while, they were only respecting your authority and position and not you as a person. Then people do not go out of their way to get things done for the leader. People only follow you when they can trust you, and they only trust you when they believe that you have integrity. Very simple way I define integrity is do what you say you will do, walk your talk. People have minds of their own, they think for themselves, and they make their own choices. So it is very difficult to play on the mind of another human being. Instead, tap into his conscience and let him see a reason you have to do what you are doing. The third law that governs team leadership is the law of charisma and motivation. The law of charisma and motivation. There's a sleeping lion in every human being. A lion, but it's asleep. And it takes leaders to wake these lions up every now and then. There's a sleeping lion in every human being. These lions are only woken up when the leader wakes them up to cause them to roar. People have the ability to do great things, but leadership is weak. You see, leadership is infectious and it is repetitive. People do what they see the leader do. Now, so if the leader communicates fear, the leader exhibits pessimism, fear, hopelessness. One of the banks in Ghana invited me to engage their sales force. They drew the entire sales team all over the country, numbering 200 to 300 for me to come and engage. And I am not a sales expert, and so I only went to engage them as a leadership guy to inspire them to see things from different perspectives in order to deliver results for this particular bank in question. Now, this was how the sales director introduced me. Very bad introduction. Folks, I don't know. I'm paraphrasing the leader, the sales director. I don't know why sales is weak. People are not opening accounts. Anyway, we brought a consultant to come and speak to you. And I'm like, what? What kind of introduction is that? Leadership is deliberate and intentional. What did I expect him to do? Good morning, folks. Account is weak, sales is not on. People are not opening account. But all we need to do is to change a few strategies. And for that matter, we have brought in a consultant to speak to you. Now, in both cases, you have alluded to what the reality is on the ground. But the first one, we were communicating pessimism, hopelessness. We are confused. If you had a new job, you could go. The second one says there's a challenge, but hold on, we are in control. We are looking for solutions. Our mind is divided into two. There's a subconscious and a conscious mind. The moment you say, I cannot do it or it can't be done, it's technically like the conscious mind dropping an SMS to the subconscious mind to say, go to bed. I've agreed that this thing cannot be done. I tell leaders, you need to show confidence. I didn't say have confidence. Even if you don't have, fake it. Because you need the confidence to keep the team that might not have the same stamina as the leader. Now, let me share this secret with you. Both followers and leaders have fear in their hearts. I am a leader and I have fears in my heart too. But you know the difference between us? Whilst the follower exhibits and shows his fear, leaders conceal and stomach their fear and handle the problems. As a matter of fact, I say that the essence of leadership is change and growth. If there was no problems to be solved, leadership becomes a waste of everybody's time. So when leaders are complaining about problems, I tell them, but that is the relevance of you. That is why you are there. And as a matter of fact, if you are promoted, this is what I tell managers, if you are promoted, it means that you are trusted to handle bigger and higher challenges. That is why you got promoted at your workplace. Now, like I mentioned, whether you have confidence or not, fake it. Fake it until it becomes real. I'll share one secret about me to you. You just promised me you won't tell anybody. Now, I fear air travel. I used to fear it terribly. Now it's better. But my work require or demand that I travel. Before COVID, my schedule was, I was doing about 40% of my time in Accra, some 30 to 40% of my time outside Accra, but in Ghana, some 20% of the time to 30%, I was mostly on the plane outside of Ghana, speaking at events, training for organizations here and there. But I fear it. But you know what? I normally say, courage is not the absence of fear. Courage is confronting fear. There's a reason to be afraid, but you do it all the same. On one fine evening, I was on the aircraft at Kotoka International Airport when this young lady came to enter the plane. I was sitting on seat number 41B and her seat was 41C, holding her ticket in search of her seat. And as soon as she shared with me, I said, oh, this is your seat, sit here. She sat by me. Good evening, sir. I hear when the aircraft is zooming into the air, sometimes you feel dizzy and right there, I knew this is her first time. So I needed to occupy the position of the leader so I can coach her. And I said, oh, it's not a problem. It's normal when we are zooming. I ran my mouth very well at Kotoka. We're flying until we got to that bad weather. And the pilot will sound the bell, ping pong, we're having challenges with and I stretched my neck. She observed it. And she was courageous enough to ask me, are you scared? I said, no, I'm not scared. I mean, there's nothing precarious about this. This is normal. In any case, in about some 55 minutes time, we should be landing. If you're an afraid man, you always know the distance covered and then distance, left to be covered. All right. Now, what about if it was the flip side? Now, so this situation is precarious and it doesn't look like we're going to survive this. She was going to urinate on herself. Question, was I the one flying the plane? No. But the follower had put his confidence in the leader. If the leader exhibits fear, the followers will do more of that. Leaders communicate charisma. They communicate motivation. If you ask a 5-month-old pregnant woman to run, she will quickly remind you of her pregnancy. Don't worry. Release a wild dog after her and see whether she would manage to run or not. The ability to run had always been in her, but she didn't find the right motivation to run. All right. I was telling my student the last time we were on a lecture hall on the first floor. How many of you will jump down? I'll give you 10 Ghana cedi. I'm sure some of them insulted me in their heads. They didn't just have the courage to insult me in the face since I was their lecturer. Are you foolish? I should jump down. You give me 10 cedi. No, do you want me to break my leg? Do you want to kill me? Keep running your mouth. Okay, jump down. I'll give you $1 million. Some of them said, yes, actually, how far is the height from here to the ground? I thought you said you couldn't jump. Not knowing the ability to jump was always in you, except you never found the right motivation to jump. There's a sleeping lion in every human being, and it takes leaders to wake these lions up time and again. Law number 4 that governs team leadership is the law of communication and information flow. The law of communication and information flow. People want to know what is going on. What is going on? Otherwise, very soon they start using the word they. The moment your junior staff start using they immediately get alienated from the vision and the strategic direction of the organization. Quick story. I don't remember if I shared this story the last time I engaged this platform. I facilitated a strategic session for an organization in one of the hotels around on the Volta Lake, those resorts that we normally go for strategic session. It was a 1-week program. One fine evening, I think Tuesday or Wednesday evening, the architecture of that hotel is that you don't drive in. You leave your car outside and you are either picked by cats in or you walk in or something. One fine evening, I came into my car to pick a bottle of wine. Forgive me. As I make attempt to get back into the room, I was flagged down by a security officer. Good evening, sir. Here she used the word they. Here, they don't allow foreign wine. Foreign wine as in wine you didn't buy from the hotel. Now, first and foremost, I had a problem with he using the word they. And I asked him, where do you work? He said, I'm a staff here. They, in other words, he's telling me a group of people wearing suits, sitting in an air-conditioner room, drinking tea at the top, say, I should tell you that they don't allow foreign wine. Now, let me tell you the shocker part of our conversation. But this is what you can do, sir. You can get back into your vehicle, put the wine in a polythene bag, so when you are passing, nobody will see. So when you are passing, nobody sees you. I'm like, wow. The guy who have been kept here to keep the gate is helping me to crash the gate. Do you think that he's not aware that you are not supposed to bring wine? He knows. And if there was a supervisor next to him, he wouldn't do what he did. But nobody cared to communicate. Nobody cared to tell him the conventional wisdom behind why the policy existed. Now, I do not work for that hotel, so you do not too. But we can fairly conjecture that the reasons the hotel will not allow that is, one, probably they also deal in wine. And if they continue to allow foreign wine, the business would not grow. Number 2, probably if a customer eats anything poisonous, at the hotel could be liable. Perhaps communication, information flow, and engagement are the most powerful tools of every leader. Engage. Let people understand the conventional wisdom behind the action, the vision, the directive, and not just giving blanket, directives. Now, let me make this key statement. When people do not understand the consequences of inaction, they are not motivated to act. I'll say that again. Until people understand the consequences of inaction, they are not motivated to act. I was in an interaction with my medical doctor. And you're like, Jeff, do you exercise? I said, no. My work itself is exercise. I'm always on my feet, lecturing, talking, training. It's like, can I give you the difference? What you are doing is called stress. I'm asking for exercise. Now, like, well, I don't think I need it. And then he pulled a diagram on his laptop. So, can you see this? This is what is happening to your blood veins. You gather cholesterol here. If you don't do this, blah, blah, blah. So now that I understood what was happening to my body, if I didn't exercise, the next morning I was on the field. To the
Hello, Jeff. Is Jeff still on? It looks like Jeff is Jeff's network has kicked him off, but I think we are learning a lot. We'll try to get him back on, but keep on putting up your questions and your comments. Share the things you are learning as we try to bring Jeff back. In the meantime, let me see who is on the call with us. Quickly, I can see, okay, Douglas is here. We saw Douglas. Douglas has a few comments. When Jeff comes back, we would let him answer them. Willie Glare is here. He says, this is great. Watching from Kwati in the Volta region. All right. I also have Emmanuel Wulo Willendor here. And he says, thanks very much for the presentation. All right. So let's see if we can get Jeff. I guess his internet is having challenges. But let's see what he was talking about. He's talking about the law of communication. That's where he was. And he's illustrating for us the importance of understanding the purpose, the reason why some rules are put in place. So I guess Jeff is back. So I'm going to bring him back. Let's see.
Back. Sorry, I had an internet challenge. I have to quickly switch
Yes,
over.
we saw that you are off. Thanks for connecting back. So
Thank you,
continue
sir.
from where you left.
Okay. So the very final one is the law of respect, inclusion, and appreciation. The law of respect. Every human being loves to be respected. Every human being loves to be respected. Now, when people feel regarded, now, may I say this? If you don't get the heart of people, you hardly get the hand of people. Leaders first must get the hearts of people, and that is the emotional buttons. You must connect with people emotionally, even at the formal workplace. When people feel you do not respect them, hardly do you get them to go beyond what they feel they must deliver to you or to the company. So the law of respect, the law of inclusion, people want to feel included, that I am part of this. I was also consulted. They spoke to me. They appreciate my contribution to the organization, and that is the contribution bit. Like I always say, if you follow these laws, you will get people following you. Let's go to the next slide as I try to conclude. Now, how do your team members see you? And it's not a question of this is how I am. Now, how they see you is important. Okay. Now, it might be perception, but perception is so firm that it affects relationship. If how they see you doesn't resonate to who you think you are, then there's a communication gap. There's an engagement gap. It's like a young boy seeing Michael Essien on television, being interviewed on how he owns fleet of vehicles and a house in London and one in Ghana. The boy said, I want to become a footballer. The parents sent him to school. He goes to play football all day and doesn't go to class. He comes home and the parents flog him. Now, he goes to bed thinking the parents are wicked. They don't want him to become a footballer. But between you and I, what is the parent communicating? They are communicating love. We don't want our daughter, our son to miss education. Yet he is interpreting and decoding hatred. So when you flog him 9 p.m. bedtime, following morning 5 a.m., you will appear in his bedroom, sit on his bed, and put his palm in yours to connect the dots. Kofi, you are my son. I do not hate you. And I have nothing against you becoming a footballer. But I need you to go to school first, because as a footballer, you're going to sign contracts. You're going to address press conferences. And if you are low on education, you may not go far in your football career. Through alignment and communication, we are trying to connect the thought, the perception the child have of his parent and what the parents are actually communicating. Like Mr. Eyim mentioned at the beginning of this presentation, a leader without followers is but taking a stroll alone. They're just having a walk, Next slide. So as I close in, I want to share this quick story before we go. I'm sure it's a story that most of us have heard before. How when there are conflicts in teams, it's important to calm down, and look for solutions. So a father left 17 camels as an asset for his 3 sons. When the father passed away, his sons opened up the will. The father's will stated that the eldest son should get 1/2, that is 1/2 of the 17 camels. The middle son should have 1/3 of the 17 camels, and the youngest son should have 1/9 of the 17 camels. As it is not possible to divide 17 into half, or 17 by 3 or by 9, the 3 sons started to fight with each other. So they decided to go see a wise man who happens to be their father's friend, who himself is also a camel rearer. The wise man listened patiently, and after giving it his thought, he brought one of his own camels and added to the 17, which means that now the total camels in question is 18. Next slide. Now, he started reading the deceased father's will. First son must have half. Now, half of 18 is 9. The second son must have 1/3. 1/3 of 18 is 6. The third son must have 1/9. 1/9 of 18 is 2. So he gave 2 camels to the youngest son, gave 6 to the oldest, which is 1/3, and gave 9 to the oldest. Now, when you add 9 to the oldest, 6 to the second, and 2 to the youngest, 9 plus 6 plus 2 is 17. And that is how they got their things shared. And he, the wise man, took his 1 camel he added back. The point I want to make is that in the midst of challenges, in the midst of conflict, in the midst of the team not being together, the leader must learn to calm down, analyze, assess the situation, and go ahead to find a solution to it. Nobody ever progressed with war, with argument. All the wars in the world always come to an end with a peaceful conversation. And I normally say, where there is no talking, there can't be solution. Whether it's a problem of husband and wife, boss and staff, name it. Where there is no talking, there cannot be solutions. Next slide. This is what Narayana Murphy, founder of the largest IT firm in Nigeria, said. She happens to be the wife of the newly appointed or elected Prime Minister of UK right now. She said, our assets walk out of the door each evening. We have to make sure they come back the next morning. Who are the assets here? The human beings walk out of the door each evening. Next slide. It is our business to ensure that they return the following morning. And I always close my conversations or presentations with this slide. How a group of flock or a flock of ducks or geese went on a flying lesson. They flew with the wind, they flew against the wind, they flew over mountains and over valleys, learned and mastered all the principles of aerodynamics. And after the flying lesson, after the day flying lesson have come to an end, they all settled on the ground and walked home. What is the use of learning how to fly only to walk home? If you have picked a lesson or two from this presentation, the only way it becomes useful is when you apply the principles and not just the prestige of having listened to this presentation. Next slide. I want to say a thank you to you for your cooperation through this conversation. I've taken a bit more of the time required of me, but I thank you for the opportunity. Mr. Yim, you can have the floor, sir.
Thank you so very much. This is very, very, very instructive. We've learned a lot. I've taken so many notes. And so I want to thank you. I want you guys to share your learnings. Everybody share one takeaway, one thing you are taking away to go and improve your teamwork. And Jeff is still around. If you have questions also, please put them in the chat. And we're going to take a short break. And when we come back, we'll take your comments and questions, and Jeff would answer them. Just a quick break with you if you're ready.
My name is Eliza.
My name is Elsie.
My name is Ebenezer Tufo.
This is Rosemary Robert Gacy.
Over the past 14 weeks, I have been part of CTL Africa's 15-week growth journey, and it has been a blessing for me. I want to share my lessons with you.
Indeed, my attitude to life has never been the same. On the very first day I joined the virtual Personal Growth and Leadership Masterclass organized by Center for Transformational Leadership CTL Africa under the tutelage of Mr. Samuel Yim.
First, the law of intentionality. Second, the law of design. And third, the law of the rubber band, the law of expansion.
The law of intentionality, the law of awareness. Then we have the law of the mirror.
Looking at how intense these laws are and how much impact they're supposed to make to our life.
My value obviously is not the same. The program indeed satisfies my quest for knowledge. So I encourage you to be part of this journey and also become an encouragement to others.
I will recommend CTL Africa to everyone who hears about us.
It has been a blessing to me, and I will encourage you to be part of CTL Africa's 15-week growth journey.
So we thank Mr. Yim, we thank CTL, and thank you for listening to us.
God bless you as you make a move today.
I've been blessed, and so you'll be blessed. Thank you.
Good. Welcome back. A few comments have come up. So Jeff, take notes of them and let's see. Amwate says, what best method should I use to know team members well and understand them? So one of your questions was, do you know your team members? And you talked about the collaborators and the complainers and the high flyers. And I think Douglas is asking what are the methods you would suggest for him to know his team members? Okay, he says we don't manage people. We don't manage people, but agreement. What of if the agreement fails? So that's the second question from Douglas. How does he know his team members? What method should he use? And if the agreement you have with the people fails, what happens? Willie Glay is here. He's from Kuati in the Volta region. I think this is probably a third question from Douglas. Can a strong team achieve results even if the leader is weak? All right. So those are three questions. Let me see if there's more, then we'll let you answer them before so that we don't miss out. Emmanuel Willindo is here. He says, thanks for the presentation. Tete Junior, Anthony, I'm really enjoying the presentation. All right. Okay. All right. There's a next question from Abraham, but I will let Jeff answer those three questions from William Amuate, and then we'll continue. Jeff.
Right. The best way you want to know your team members is to engage them. That's the best way to know your team members. Engage them. Now, I've encouraged a few corporate leaders to directly ask their team members what they think of he, the leader. It helps a lot. If you don't know what is in the mind of your followers, it can be very difficult. Sometimes you may mean well, but in their minds, they may have a differently or a totally different perception about you. So ask them directly. Now, you have to create a system where you want to get feedback from your members and don't use it against them. Now, feedback is a powerful management tool. Students want to know from their teacher how they are performing. Customers or service renderers should want to know from their customers how the business is performing. I normally say, when I hear definitions of culture such as the way we do things here, well, it's a good definition, but I normally send the definition a notch higher. Culture is not the way you do things here. It's the way the customer wants you to do things here. Because if you are not delivering on product promises to the customer, but how you want to do things, it's just a question of time and you're going to lose your customers. They normally say that when the rate of change on the outside exceeds the rate of change on the inside, the end is in sight. If the rate at which your customers are changing, government legislation, socio-cultural demands, technology, if their internal changes do not commensurate these external changes, that organization will soon close down. You may want to create anonymous email address with password known to everybody. So people can just tell them, go and send me your opinion. There should not be any trace down to who have sent hot to you. That's why I said common email, anonymous. It shouldn't come with anybody's name. Everybody has the password and the username. Okay, the username and the password. So it's coming from your staff, but you don't know who have sent hot. Okay. It helps a lot because sometimes the fear of victimization from your team members is the reason they don't want to open up to you or they are not transparent in dealing with you, the leader. I think the second question has to do with what about if agreement fails? My dear, I can tell you with certainty, there are no absolutes in management, yes. But the question of pushing, surveillance, punishing, and what have you, does not achieve nearly what democratic vision sharing and building consensus achieves. I mentioned that a change imposed is a change opposed. Now, when you look at McGregor's theory X and Y, Douglas McGregor's theory X and Y, theory X says that employees are lazy, they are self-seeking, they are laid back. They will never want to put in a good day's job by themselves. And so leaders who believe in this normally think that you have to keep employees under strict surveillance, threaten them with punishment, otherwise promise them rewards if you are to get any benefit from them. And managers with this orientation usually adopt the autocratic style of leadership. Theory Y says, listen, employees are not lazy. They are not self-seeking. They are not laid back. But the leader needs to share vision, to communicate, to motivate, to create the enabling environment and the necessary working condition. Leave the guys alone and they'll get a result for you. And I am a business leader, and I founded the HR Certification Center a few years ago. We're doing 520 persons as participants. And every time I told my team members why the result is not good. With all modesty, today on quarterly basis, we run about 200 participants. So we graduate close to 1,000 persons every year. All the key HRs in this country, from ABSA to GCB Bank to Bank of Ghana, MTN, Newmont, Talo, Coca-Cola, all those key HR directors went through us to certify. and come and see me and my staff in the office. Sometimes you are not sure who is the boss and who is not, because I know that that vision can only see the light of day and grow when the people who support me for the vision to grow are happy and are involved. We don't shout, we don't give blanket instruction, we don't threaten people. We meet, we judge all, we go through the ideas and all of that. Maybe, well, we are not too big an organization, and so I don't even mind an employee say I'm not feeling well. Go and bring in an excuse duty before I allow you to go. No, we have that mutual trust of the system. But you see, when you make your staff feel you are the one paying them, they need you to be present to impress you to do the work. But no, I said, no, we are all creating and sharing. I'm just the visionary and the leader. It's the customer who is paying you. It's not me. Now, they don't need to see me to worship the customer to make things happen. If your presence or otherwise dictates whether people work or not, you are an intimidating manager. In fact, you've been managing yourself, not an organization. Now, if you ask me theory X and theory Y, which one should we adopt? I'll tell you both. There are no absolute in management. 70-80% of the time, go with theory Y, democratic, vision sharing, communication, believing that people would put in a good day job, establishing agreement. 20% of the time, you can use theory X to whip up people a bit. So a blend or a hybrid of the two, but the emphasis should be more on theory Y, according to Douglas McGregor's theory. That is what I have to say to the question of the agreement. It may fail you occasionally, but it is a better reliable management style than always threatening and punishing and pushing, because agreements are not working. Right.
Great. Now, I think the other question from Douglas was, can a strong team achieve results even if the leader is weak? So that's his second question. Then let me add to that Aram's comment. Many thanks for the education, Dr. Bassey. How does a leader build consensus, especially when multiple decisions are required, without losing focus or losing momentum? Excuse me. So that's a question from Aram. Then Alas Anamu say, fantastic presentation today. Thank you. Thank you, Alasan from Alajo. Emmanuel says, I like the fact that these are laws. I would like to know, are these laws equal? Are they connected to each other? Is it possible to practice one law and not practice the other one? All right, so that's the question about the laws from Emmanuel. Okay, so let me let me leave you to address those ones, then we'll come and take.
Forgive me for not being a good listener. The first person's last question was what?
The first person's last question was if the team can succeed when the leader can achieve results if the leader is weak.
The word weak, as he used it, can be very
sorry.
We normally say that
we missed you a bit.
Yeah. So the point I'm making is that I don't know what he means by weak leader.
Mm-hmm.
It can be subjected to different relative definitions of what weakness is. But generically, what I want to say is that we are better off with a strong leader that whip up weak teams than a strong team to be whipped up by a weak leader. Like we always say, a group of sheep led by a lion would defeat a group of lions led by a sheep, because followers take inspiration from leadership. You see, today we are in information world. When the leader is at level 2 and the followers are at level 1, very soon the followers will come to level 2. If care is not taken, they'll go to level 3. The leader needs to be working hard on himself every day, because one of your relevance as a leader is that you must always be one step ahead of the team. And so we will go for a strong leader with a strong team. Okay. The next one have to do with how do we build consensus. Now, may I say that in business, majority is not headcount. Majority is the strongest of ideas. Business is not Parliament House, where we do majority headcount to say, if 2% ideas are stronger than 10%, that is the best idea. But those 2% should not bulldoze, for want of a better word, their good idea through. They must run it by and make sure that they get everybody on board. Okay. And that is what we mean by the involvement, the consensus building, picking thoughts from other persons. And then somebody is asking, can we practice one of the laws to the neglect of others? I don't know why you want to leave some out. Fair enough. But my suggestion would be work hard at making sure that you're able to practice all the laws together. Like you said, if you follow these 5 laws, you get people following you. I don't know which of them is a problem to be followed. Is it that you can't share your purpose? There's a reason why the organization exists. If you don't have a vision, then you have no business wasting anybody's time. But if you do have a vision, share it. The second one, should that be a problem? The leader must have integrity, must do what he says he will do. The third one is make sure that you motivate and inspire people and wake up the sleeping lions in them. The fourth one is you must make sure there is communication and information flow. Carry people along. And the fifth one, respect people. I really don't know the difficulty of using 4. I don't know which of the 5 laws will be too difficult to do. So I want to encourage the person who asked the question, work hard at making sure you get all the 5 laws activated. It helps a lot. These are academic things. They have been tried and tested.
Wonderful, wonderful. Thank you so very much. Do all the laws. All right. Now, Latte says, thank you so much. Very insightful. And she's very, very inspiring for me. Didn't know this before. It has really opened my eyes. Thank you so much. Livingston Zeto, very educative and informative presentation. Jeff, thank you so much. All right. So there is no more questions. Those are comments to show that people are learning and appreciating. And we know that there are so many people who connect who don't comment or ask questions, but they are learning. When I meet them on the streets, they say, oh, even today I was in the graduation of the Heritage, and people I didn't know. So I know you. I'm always on your platform. I said, but I've never seen you before. So we know that by the grace of God, people are learning. Thank you so much, Jeff. I think I'm going to give you the last word to give us your final closing thoughts, and then we will call it a day.
Well, I would want to just encourage leaders to appreciate the fact that you cannot do it alone. And you want to carry people along and create followers and not just workers. The one key difference between a worker and a follower is that workers are involved because it's going well. And the day it doesn't go well, they pack their baggage and go to the next place. But followers are involved, and when it's not going well, they look for reasons it must work. Focus on creating followers who your presence or otherwise doesn't determine whether they work or not. They must understand the vision and not about the leader per se. And I believe that together, like Mr. Yim said, if you want to go alone, you can go fast. But if you want to go further, if you want to go far, you go with many others. It's always better with a team than if you have to handle it all alone. Right.
All right. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Jeff. We have we appreciate you. We thank you for what you do. We thank you for the impact and the contribution you are making, and we encourage you to continue to make leaders out of so many managers so that our organizations can be led well. Thank you so much. And for all of you who have spent half of your evening with us, we know there's England and France playing, but you prioritize the leadership platform to be here to learn. So we thank you and we appreciate you. We don't take your participation for granted. We encourage you to share the learning with others. Put the things to practice. The things we learn here, practice them and give us feedback of the results you are getting, because that is why we are here. We're not just here to just share the ideas and they go, but we want to encourage you to put them into practice. Teams are so important, and we have learned some of the laws that will enable us to become better leaders, get better results from the teams. So please take them on board. Oh, sorry, I forgot to ask Sarah if she has any comments. So before I close her off, all right, Sarah. All right.
It's fine. Just to say thank you and really thank everyone for coming, especially with the World Cup going on, that people really has prioritized to invest their time with us. Thank you. And
Thank you
thanks
so
to Dr.
much.
Bassey.
Thank you so much, Sarah. And to everybody, have a very good night and stay blessed. Let's go to church tomorrow to thank God for his blessings. Bye-bye.
Navigating through life without a coach or a guide can be very deceiving, making you come to think that you have achieved the highest or the best you can ever, or you have made the best of decisions. But until you become very intentional and take a good stock of your life, you would not realize that it's a mistake.
Pain helps you to come out of your comfort zone.
The law of intentionality and the fact that learning is a lifelong journey if you want to be significant. Emphasis on significance.
Previously, I used to be very unintentional about the things I do when it comes to my family, my work, my Christian life, and basically everything that I do.
In the pursuit of that growth, there are gaps. There are gaps that we need to conquer. These gaps include the knowledge, perfection, mistake, inspirational, timing, and assumption gap.
And I will encourage you to be part of CTL Africa's 15-week growth journey.
I encourage you all out there who need to live their life to be part of CTL Africa's growth journey.
Please take advantage of this program and your life will never be the same.
Thank you very much, CTL Africa, and continue to impact the world. God bless you.